Guys, that light bothers me. Give me a second. There we go. It's still a little bit there, but you know, it's not that clear. But anyways, hey guys. Oh yeah. So for those of you that didn't know, my there we go. My channel actually started, for those of you who noticed, I talk a lot about Scum and such, but it actually started for the sake of me. It started with me giving book recommendations. I wanted to talk about books, I wanted to talk about movies, and I wanted to talk, or not much movies, but music and books. So I decided to go back into my old realm, or I don't know what to call it. And today I'm gonna give you guys many book recommendations, or a lot of book recommendations. I don't know anymore. My grammar sucks. Hey, no, honestly, I'm trying to improve my grammar. Mostly because of a character in a book, in two books that I have read recently. As a matter of fact, recently means today and yesterday. I finished two books. I'm gonna show you guys at the very end. Most of these do also have movies, apart from one which I'm gonna recommend for the sake of that I like to talk about astrology. I have tried to post astrology videos and that have kind of failed, I think. I don't remember if I actually posted one. I don't think I have. But I do like to talk about astrology, so if you're interested in astrology, I suggest this book. It's actually called Astrology, the 12 Zodiac Signs. It's by Luna Sidana, and the purple here is the traits, their meanings, and the nature of your soul. That's what it says here. And then you have all the zodiacs here. It's a very nifty little handbook. If you like zodiac signs, you get to learn the history and things that fit the different zodiac signs. Each chapter is something. Like, we have introduction, so you get an introduction in the into the book and into astrology. Chapter 1 is about the history of astrology. Chapter 2 is about the basics. Chapter 3 is about the divisions. 4 starts with the zodiac sign Aquarius, and so on. It ends with Capricorn, and in the end it comes to the conclusion. So this book is pretty good handbook if you like astrology. We have just jumped right into it. And the next one, it has a movie. I don't think I finished the book properly, but as far as I came, I liked it and I enjoyed it, and that's The Fault in Our Stars. In Norwegian, it's called Fantaskjebnen, which means fuck faith, you could say, or not faith as in belief, but like not faith. No. Destiny. Fuck destiny. Sorry, I mix up my words today. But yeah, most people probably heard about The Fault in Our Stars. You probably have seen the movie, you probably cried. What to say? You have Hazel Grace Lancaster. She has cancer, and this story is basically about her and her meeting this guy called Augustus. They fall in love. It's really sweet. They both have cancer, and it's by John Green. Probably heard about it, and you know, it's pretty heartbreaking, you could say, but it's really cute at times. But also, you possibly, alongside other fangirls and fanboys and pants, because I'm not gonna genderize things today, you probably will want to yell at him. The next one, I only have the fourth book apparently, but they have 3 movies, and I've tried to read it. I got to page 8. I was so confused. But that's for the 4th book. I'm talking about The Maze Runner. This is Kill Order. I did not manage to finish it, but it has 3 other books that are before that, which is The Maze Runner, Scorch Trials, and The Death Cure. And these three have movies, and I've seen all three of them, and I've read all the three books. I really enjoy them, and The Maze Runner, and I think you will like it. The Kill Order is the prequel of The Maze Runner, so that's why it's used to be very confusing. And according here is like a must for fans of the Hunger Games. Something I'm gonna mention in a bit. Just wait a little bit. Yes, written by James Dashner, like I said. I think I said at least, yeah. And to get into the story a little bit, it's about Thomas. When he wakes up, that's pretty much the only thing he remembers. And the thing is, he is trapped inside a box. And when this sort of opens, the thing he sees is a ton of other guys looking at him. And later he turns out that he's stuck inside something they call the Glade. It's a maze around them, and it's only guys. The trouble starts to come when there's this girl that shows up, and things get still very much confusing. Let's move on. Quickly about the Hunger Games. I do have all three books. Hunger Games, what's it called? Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I have all three. We also all four of the movies, which is Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. But they're all upstairs, and I'm too lazy to get them. Great books written by Susan Collins, if I remember correctly. I'm kind of tired today, so I think I'm great. Anyways, it's about Katniss. They're living in districts in this world. She lives in District 12, and it's pretty much the poor place. So she hunts for her mom and her sister and for herself to food and such. And then she gets plucked out for the Hunger Games, basically, which is a bunch of teens, one boy and one girl from each district, District 1 to 12, and then you have the capital where they are, gets put inside a type of arena, and then they have to fight to death, and the last person standing is the winner. It's brutal. It's brutal. Everyone probably have already heard about these things. But this one, if you don't know the book I'm about to show you, and if you don't know the series, I'm actually going to be wounded. Because this, my friends, is something everyone should know about. I swear, when I have kids of my own, they are going to get to hear about this series. And it's the Harry Potter series. Now, Harry Potter is amazing. I first heard about it from my parents. We were in Universal Studios in America, in Orlando, and it was so much fun, and I got a robe and everything, even though I didn't know much about Harry Potter, and then I read all the books, and I saw the movies. I think we even went and saw the last one in the cinema, which was fun. It's obviously by J.K. Rowling, for those of you who don't know that. In that case, you're probably living under a rock. It's about Harry Potter. He has lived with his aunt, uncle, and cousin, whom are muggles. He later figures he's a wizard, and he travels to Hogwarts. He gets friends, Ron and Hermione, and he has to save the world. Or save at least the wizarding world. A little bit fact about Hogwarts, they have 4 houses: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff. The 2 last one a little less known than Gryffindor and Slytherin. Personally, if I were a hybrid house, I am a Ravenclaw. But if I were only one, I'm a Ravenclaw. I'm just saying. But yeah, Harry Potter is amazing. I don't really think I need to tell much because people tend to know. And let's say books and movies. I have a friend who I think have not read the books, but he loves the movies. So, pretty dedicated, but he's a Ravenclaw. But I'm like, you have to read them. We're gonna move on to the next one. I do have the first book, but a friend of mine is borrowing it for this series, and it's the Percy Jackson series. And this series is great. It starts, this is the 3rd book, Titan's Curse, but the first book is called Lightning Teeth. So this follows Percy Jackson, and he starts as a 12-year-old. He has dyslexia and ADHD, and one of his best friends is Grover. He has crutches and problem walking and such. But it turns out that Percy he, you know, lives with his mother and his stepdad. But it turns out that that Percy, he is not complete just human. He is a demigod, meaning half god, half human. He is the son of Poseidon, and he is taken to Camp Half-Blood, where, yeah, he's gonna be a hero in the end, you know, because it's Percy Jackson. Basically. That was just a really short, because the thing is, there is a follow-up series called The Heroes of Olympus, also written by the same author, obviously, Rick Riordan. I haven't mentioned that yet, but Rick Riordan wrote all this. Percy Jackson has 2 movies. We don't talk about them, so I pretend they don't exist. That's why I didn't mention them. Okay? Both for Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters, and they stopped at the 3rd one because one of the, I think the actors got a lot of hate. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, The Heroes of Olympus, to start with the Lost Hero. It can get kind of confusing, because when you meet up with this book, the thing is, you have been so used to Percy and Annabeth and having things from Percy's point of view and such, but the first thing you will see when you get to Lost Hero is that the first thing is Jason. So you have new demigods, you have the Roman mythology getting into this, you get the Roman demigods into this, and it's super cool. Leo Valdez shows up. He is a babe. We all love Leo Valdez here. And yeah, it's a great series, really, and it's a great follow-up for the Percy Jackson series, and I really highly suggest that you read it. You will also have a little bit of, like, oh my gosh moments in it, I'd say, in the series. So yeah. In between of different series, you know, the authors will sometimes write some other stuff in there. Well, Rick Riordan wrote Percy Jackson and the Greek Gods, so here Percy tells you about the Greek gods. It's like, Percy will basically sound like he's like made to do it, like he didn't want to do it, but he had to. And then it's the fact of, I have some of these bookmarked because they're hilarious. And then he tells you different stories and some stuff about the different ones in a fun way to learn about Greek mythology, and or not about so much about the mythology, but about the gods. And you know, usually would expect them to come in order. Well, he actually, okay, first and foremost, he starts at the beginning and stuff, the golden age of cannibalism and the Olympian bash of heads. Olympian bash some heads. Yeah. And so he starts with the history part, and then he decides to. Instead of starting with Zeus, he starts with Hestia, then Demeter, then Persephone, then Hera, then Hades, then Poseidon, then Zeus, then Athena, then Aphrodite, then Ares, then Hephaestus, then Apollo, then Artemis, then Hermes, then Dionysus, and then there's some afterwards. And I'm sorry, but they're yelling out there, my parents and such. So yeah, if you want to learn something in a fun way about the Greek gods, I suggest this book. And also, when it comes to the series, read the Percy Jackson series first, then the Heroes of Olympus series. And once you're done with those, you can start with the Trials of Apollo, which is the next follow-up series of these 2. Now this time we follow Apollo. I did that on purpose. He is turned into a human, or a mogul actually. I'm a Harry Potter fan too, have you noticed? No, he gets turned into a normal human, and this is like the 3rd time it's happened. His father had done this before, and he has to follow a demigod and to help them out, and then he might be worthy of his powers back again. And we get to meet on the different people that we've been used to in the first 2 series, and I'd say that the 2 people you possibly will hear about the most, that you have heard about in the, at least in the 2 other series, are, will it be spoilery? I don't know. But you will already know by Titan's Curse who one of them is, and yeah, but Nico is one of them, so to make things a little lighter. But yeah, so hidden article, read after the 2 others, but I highly suggest it because it's a continuing story. Okay, and no, when it comes, and then before we start with the last parts, which I have so much to say about, this is the 2 recent books I have read in the same series though, and I want to put them both up because I finished the second one today. I bought it today and I finished it today. First, a quick note about the different movies. The Fault in Our Stars has a movie. It was amazing. I saw it with my friend Maria, and we almost cried. Like, she cried, I almost. Sorry, someone went in the bathroom and scared for me. I rarely cry over movies. When it comes to the Maze Runner, I do not cry over the Maze Runner. I did not cry over Scorched Trials. I cried over Death Gear. And the Percy Jackson movies, I don't suggest. I highly recommend The Fault in Our Stars and the Maze Runner movies. They were great. I don't recommend the Percy Jackson movies because but you can watch them if you want to, but then you don't compare them to the books. You need to think of them as their own individual thing, because it's so different from the book that, yes, you usually do this with movies. I do this very often where I compare, where I usually try to split them apart, think of them as 2 different things. But when I see they have so many similarities, I'll be like, yes, I love this, because the best thing is, when they actually make it similar. However, I don't suggest the Percy Jackson books. The books actually, I suggest the books, but the movies, if you want them to be so similar as possible to the books, I don't suggest you watch them. But if you can split them apart and don't think of them as a part of the series of the books, but rather as their individual thing, as something not about the books, about what's going on there, then yeah, watch them all you want. I think I actually have them, or at least one of them. The Harry Potter movies, I obviously suggest. They are amazing. They tend to be pretty similar to the books, especially the first one. So I highly suggest the Harry Potter series in both movie and in books, both in film and books. Thank you. Is there anything I'm missing? No, I'm not. Then we can start on with my last ones. I saw the movie on Saturday in the cinema, and the day after I put a reservation up for the book. I bought it yesterday for the first one, and the second one I finished the first book also yesterday, and then I put a reservation up for the second one not long after, and my friend owed me money, and then I bought the second book with that money today, and I finished it today. And the books, let's see, the sequel of them is called Leah on the Offbeat, but the first book is called Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, and of course, if you have paid attention, you know that the movie is called Love, Simon. Now listen. The Percy Jackson movies and books had the same title, Percy Jackson and Lightning Thief and Percy Jackson Sea of Monsters, are different from each other. Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda and Love, Simon, on the other hand, have different titles, but I can pull out one of the scenes in this book, and you will literally imagine what happened in the movie and realize how similar it is, word for word. I legitimately was so impressed because I never thought I would get to see, like, in Harry Potter it also somewhat happened, but it was the fact of that they actually quoted the book to a T. It was perfect, and I loved it, and it was amazing, and yes, there were moments that were different, but the difference made you also remember that there is a different twist on it. This starts in the middle of, oh shit, whilst the movie starts with the things you get hints about in the book. Now I love this. And the first book is about Simon and his secret about being gay. He he is blackmailed by this guy called Martin, because he finds his emails with a guy called Blue. It's not his actual name, it's an alias. And Simon has used the word of Jacques, because Jacques it, which means Simon says in French. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. I have Spanish, not French, in school. Anyways, so Simon gets blackmailed by Martin to because Martin has a thing for his friend Abby, and he begs Simon basically that to help him with Abby, so he will not post the screenshots he has of the mails Simon and Blue has. And then it goes on from there. So it's about him coming out and about coming out to family and friends and such, about his conversations with this guy called Blue and figure out who Blue is. Now here's the thing, when I saw the movie first, I was hoping from day one for one of the guys to be Blue. I'm not gonna say who, but I had hope, and I'm not gonna say how happy I was with the result, because I was really happy, okay? That's my biggest thing, I'll tell ya, if you haven't seen it yet. When it comes to book, I loved it. It was great. I finished it yesterday. I finished it in less than 3 hours. It was so good that I couldn't put it down. That's how good it was. And you have some chapters that are just filled with emails, and others that you have things from Simon's point of view. You get to hear him talk about, like, he has a nickname for one of the guys. It's Cute Bram Greenfeld. Yes, is legitimately his name, but it's cute in front. That's his nickname for him, Cute Bram. I think that's adorable, by the way. And that was no spoiler at all, because that's not mentioned in the movie, but it's mentioned in the books. But yeah, a really well written book. I recommend it to the fullest. And then quickly going on to Leah on the Offbeat this time, because you already meet Leah during Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, but you meet her now as the main character, as the protagonist in Leah on the Offbeat. So here is when they're 16, but here they're about 18 years old, I'd say. They are about to graduate, and you have prom and such coming up, and you will meet on all the characters you met in Simon vs. This time we see how Leah deals with the fact of being bisexual. So we have met not 100% gay, but not 100% straight, which is totally fine by me. So we get to see how Leah goes through with it, with the fact that also she is slightly bigger than an average person, you could say, and she's very insecure about this. But she's a really cool character, and trust me, if you think you love her during this, you'll love her more during this. And there are some couples that you're just gonna adore during this. You'll probably adore more in this. And there are couples that you might like in this one, and then you will see go to hell in this one. Be careful. Be careful what you like, basically. But yeah. So Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda and Leah on the Offbeat were great. I really loved it. Like, the thing is, there's things that are like, if you like them during this one, then you will love it even more during this one. But then there are things that you get kind of like a difference, but at the same time there are other things that are similar. Like, it's really impressive that Becky Albertalli, the writer, great person by the way, managed to write such great stories that seem similar, as Simon and Leah are close friends. They've known each other for so long, but still they are very different. Like, you have the Hufflepuff and the Slytherin, which is something they address themselves. And you still, when you have the characters, like Simon in this one, you see some things about him, but you still see that personality when she talks with him here, or when he is there. So really, it's great. These two contrast each other so well, and that's one of my favorite things about books. So if you should get anything out of this, is the fact you should go and see Love, Simon and read these two books, because they're amazing. And also, when it comes to the movie Love, Simon, I recommend it to the fullest. It's great. It fits very well with the books, or the book. I want them to make the sequel as well. I would love for them to also have Leon the Offbeat in a movie. That would be great. But is there anything I don't like about them? There's always going to be something you don't like, but that's usually because it's triggering you. It's things that you're just like, oh no, don't do that, no, oh. But it's so worth it because how well the story turns out. So I suggest you read the books. I highly suggest you also watch the movie because it's so good. And yes, there will be differences, but you barely think about them because it's so well played out, it's so well acted out, and yeah, and there are tiny details that might be different, such as I need to think, what can I say? That's a kind of a spoiler, but still, the play they have in Love, Simon was the cabaret, whilst in the book it's Oliver. That's just like that's a detail that you feel is tiny but also can be kind of big. It really depends. So yeah, I'm sorry if you felt like that was a spoiler. I'm sorry, but yeah. So I highly suggest you both read and watch because it's perfect. And Love, Simon is like, it won for Best Kiss, might I add, on the MTV TV and Movie Awards. I think Nick Robinson was not there, sadly. Nick Robinson is a great actor and everything, but like, I wished he was there. I think that Love, Simon is so good at, I want to go and see it again. I might go and see it again soon. Really soon. So, therefore, I am just gonna leave it at the note of you should watch Love, Simon. You should also read Love, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. And trust me, as a person that loves books and movies and usually good at finding things that I don't like when I see the difference of movie and book, can hardly say bad things about Love, Simon after reading the books. That's how well it was. So, therefore, I hope you guys have continue having a great day. If you have the chance to watch the movies or to have the chance to read the books, you do it. And it's all about personal preferences. Like, most of those were action, apart from the astrology one that was facts. The Fault in Our Stars were more type of romance kind of things. Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda is, yes, romance. It's kind of drama. It's kind of comedy, you could say. So yeah, it's teenagers. And then it's teenagers, you know, at their best. Age difference. There are age differences, can I just say, in Love, Simon compared to Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda. But it's never going to be as bad as the Percy Jackson series where they were like 18 when they were supposed to be 12. When they were supposed to be 16 but they're 18, that's fine. I can handle that. So yeah. Hope you have a great day. Hope you take up my recommendations seriously because I love these books a lot. And I love the movies, to some of them, a lot. Like, I do like the Percy Jackson movies, if I don't think about the books. Really, really hard. Because I love the books. So yeah. But, hope you guys take my recommendations. And if you do, then you can tag me in a photo on Instagram. I will leave it down below. Or you can even tag me on Twitter saying that you took up my offer on, or not my offer, but like on my recommendation if you took it up. And also, what I would love for you guys to do is, you can subscribe if you want to, but you don't have to. You can comment down below saying which sounds most interesting. I didn't give you guys much detail, or I give some detail, but not all. It's based on how much you really enjoyed it or how much you like it, kind of thing. But yeah, leave it down below what you guys think. Will you watch any of the movies? Will you read any of the books? And without further ado, I will see y'all later and goodbye.